To start with, the art in this is cute. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect by any means, but Yoshihisa in particular is very cute. Takeshi, on the other hand, is alright. He's the most inconsistent of the two, and something about his long and boxy face is unattractive to me. I actually think Yoshihisa's fated partner is more attractive, but that's just me. There's also a non-Omegaverse, completely separate side story where I think both character designs are pretty attractive. However, again, the top Seijiro is inconsistent with his super long face. Still, I don't think it's as bad as Takeshi. Either way, the art is serviceable. It's not perfect, but it's not awful either, and I think that's perfectly fine for a short Omegaverse title like this one. The story, however, is very lacking. I adore the premise. Fighting your fate to create your own destiny in the context of a romance is ultra romantic to me, though I am just as much a sucker for finding and following fate, but whatever. I especially like the twist in that the partner who is worried about his alpha finding his fated partner ends up finding his own fated alpha instead. It gives the more stressed and self-conscious partner much more agency, which I am all for. However, this is a single volume title mashed together with a completely separate side story, which further cuts down the time to resolve this narrative. This ultimately leaves the most pivotal moment where Takeshi and Yoshihisa confront the fated alpha to be one of the most awkward and corniest moments I've ever seen. I laughed and cringed more than I swooned, which is never a good thing. I will give credit where credit is due though. This did make me very happy since we get male pregnancy and we do actually get to see the children along with some child rearing. This in no way makes up for the poorly resolved story, but it definitely feels good to see some family content in an Omegaverse title. I of course wish there was more, but with how short the main story already is and how much time is taken up by the separate extra story, there was hardly room for the main story as it was. I actually think this would have benefited from cutting out the impreg and child rearing content, which hurts me to say, but this would have made it a much stronger narrative overall. Before I close out this review, I do want to briefly touch on the extra story, which is not Omegaverse. It plays with very light BDSM content, which is fun, and I like that the narrative is pretty light. There is no fate to have to resolve. It's just about two men who happen to meet at a club, find they have great chemistry, and end up working together so they can continue their smutty situationship. This is very short, so there is very little depth here, which works. It's a nice, smutty morsel with a sprinkle of emotion and romance. It was honestly refreshing after reading the awkward whirlwind that was the main story. Nothing revolutionary, but fun all the same.